This is Leslie with Fearless Project, and I'm actually with Amber right now, who is a fearless woman and who God has done so much in her life. And she's just witnessing what God is doing through her. And she's just such an influential woman, and just want you guys to hear her and hear her story. And just, I wanted to ask you, like, what is that? What, if you could encourage women or tell them about the I am, like, which is God, like he is not the I was, but he is the I am. What would you tell her?
To start, a little bit about my background, because you have to know my whole story to know why I believe in the I am God. I was diagnosed with lupus when I was 9 years old, and from that time to adulthood, I was diagnosed with two other autoimmune disorders known as Sjogren's syndrome and Raynaud's. I struggled a lot in school because I was embarrassed about being sick. I didn't want people to know that I was ill. I wanted to fit in with the crowds and still be able to live life as a teenager and do the things that everyone else did. So I never told anyone. I went through chemo when I was 16 years old, and I did it alone with my family. I didn't have any friends to support me, really. Went off to college, and I had troubles here and there in school. I didn't tell many people that I was ill, and I graduated from school on time. The summer after graduation, however, my disease hit me on full force, and I went through something known as transverse myelitis, where my entire spinal cord was paralyzed. So from the neck down, I was unable to do anything on my own. From there, I had to learn how to walk again. I finally learned how to walk again, and then I started working, and 2 years after that, I was paralyzed again. From that point on, one summer, that would have been the summer of 2015, I went through a brain bleed, a lung bleed, and a colon bleed all in 3 months' time. And from there, when I finally was able to do a few things from the neck down again, I was transferred to a rehabilitation center. Now, one of the things that I like to reflect on when I'm thinking about the I am God is the different things that he's done in my life to bring me from a point that I thought I would never be able to come back from. A lot of people like to believe that God doesn't perform the miracles that he did in biblical days because they don't see someone turning water into wine or a man walking on water. But in fact, there are several miracles God has done in my life that I can compare to biblical miracles. One that I think is pretty amazing is the Lazarus story. God brought Lazarus back from the dead, or the young girl who died and her father begged Jesus to come and heal her. Well, I myself, in a way, died, stopped breathing, and had to be shocked back to life. So I always like to think that that's kind of one of the amazing miracles God performed on me. My Raynaud's is a disease that affects your skin, and so it's really hard for you to touch things. Your skin can peel off or your skin can bleed. So that I always like to compare to the man with leprosy story. Of course, it's not as bad as leprosy, but I like to think about that story and that miracle that God has healed me from. I was intubated last year and couldn't breathe on my own. And the doctor gave my family 72 hours to say their goodbyes and to come and, pray around me. And 72 hours after that, the tube was removed from my mouth and I was able to breathe again. Somebody actually just reminded me that was Jesus being risen after 3 days. So there are so many miracles that God performs every day, and we just have to have faith and look around them. Sometimes these miracles aren't big, grandiose miracles that we want to see. Sometimes they're just small miracles in our life. Waking up, in my opinion, every day is a miracle. Being able to come home from work alive, in my opinion, that's a miracle. So sometimes you have to thank God. You do, not sometimes. You just have to thank God for all of the blessings and things that happen in your life. on a daily basis. And so I thank God every day, because I may not be doing the things that I want to, but I'm alive. So I have faith that God will bring me back from this point, because he's done it so many other times. And if I were able to go back and think of every single miracle that God has performed in my life, I probably wouldn't be able to remember each one, because he's done so many. So ladies, you just have to just wake up each morning with the spirit of faith, with the spirit of thankfulness and gratefulness, and know that because you woke up that morning, God is already with you. And you just have to be thankful that, that he's with you.
Thank you. So I just wanted to ask you, like, what are some sacrifices that you've had to go through having?
Well, a bigger sacrifice than what I've had to gone through, first off, is my mother. My mom's had to sacrifice a lot of her work to take care of me. I think a lot of her social life, she may not say it, because she always like to say, you're my child, this is what I do, this is my job. But I see a lot of the sacrifices that my mom makes on a daily basis. So I think she probably makes a bigger sacrifice than I do. But as far as what the sacrifices that I've had to make, I grew up a dancer. I was a ballerina dancer, so I did a toe and point. I have a lot of really cute pictures. But once I was diagnosed at 9, I had to give up dancing. I love sports. I had to give up basketball and track. So I ended up turning my athletics over to yoga. So I started to do yoga, and that was a really good thing for my body. My doctor told me. So I kind of did, I guess, what's the word?
Trade-off? Mm-hmm.
Compromise. A compromise. I couldn't do the hardcore athletics, so yoga was actually a pretty good substitute. I really enjoy yoga, so I even started teaching yoga in college, and then get into the pool. So it wasn't so bad. It was hard at first. Relationships, not just romantic, but even friend relationships have been difficult. A lot of times people don't want to slow their lives down to because you can't keep up with them. So some relationships have been sacrificed. You can't always go out and hang out with your friends outside of home, because you're just tired. I can tell you can sleep all day and still be so exhausted. It feels like all of your energy has been sucked out of you. You can take a shower, and literally getting out of the shower, you have to take a nap because it's so hard. And a lot of people don't understand that. You constantly get the "you don't look sick" comment, which I hate, because a lot of people don't. Lupus is at least systemic lupus affects you from the inside, it's your organs. So you literally can look, gorgeous, dolled up on the outside, and you feel like Gollum off Lord of the Rings. I don't know why I just said that, but it just came to my mind. That thing is hideous, and it, the way, you literally just feel terrible. It's hard to explain that. You may sometimes have to, I haven't yet crossed that bridge yet, but I've met people that have had to give up being a biological mother because of everything that they've gone through, just the pain that their bodies have gone through, the medication that they've gone through. So they either just haven't wanted to try, or they haven't been able to try. So there are lots of things that you have to sacrifice, but in the end, if you are able to recall what you sacrificed, then you also can recall that you're still alive. And so that's one thing you haven't had to sacrifice. So you truly do have to be grateful for that. And so that's just how I like to look at it. If there's one thing that you've had to give up, you can probably find something that may even be greater than what it was to take its place. And I've actually found that the case in a lot of things that I've had to sacrifice. So I try not to look at it in a negative way. In the hospital, my mom made a pallet on the floor, actually. And she slept with me like every night I was in the hospital, either intubated, and she never slept. Like, I'd wake up and she's sitting there reading a book or watching me, Are you okay? I was just, checking on you. I'd wake up again and she's on the floor, but she's watching television. She's not asleep. Every time I would wake up, she wasn't asleep. And so even when someone would offer to stay up, I think because she was so afraid something might happen, she just stayed. Mm-hmm. So my best friend and her were on pallets on the floor, having like a sleepover in the hospital with me. When I came here, this wasn't the most ideal place to be. As I've been to a rehab center that's a lot better. People take care of you. Here it's, people are lazy, And so we were both afraid of me being here. And so she made sure, she knew I had a room here. So she was like, well, y'all gonna bring a bed in here. So she stays here a lot of the time, and she does a lot of the work that, a nurse's aide is supposed to do. It throughout the night, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., my mom's getting up through the night to, turn me or clean me or whatever. That's someone else's job here, but because people don't do their job correctly or don't care for you, my mom does it. So she should be, in my opinion, she should get the paycheck here. This is the job she's doing. So, she has given up a lot. My mom was in school in 2015 when this kind of first happened, and her school took she and a few other students to Spain to study culinary arts. She's a chef. So I was sick. I got sick the week that she was supposed to go. And so I was not going to let my mom stay here because I was sick. So I was like, Mom, I'm good. It's a little lupus flare. I'm good. So she went and she had an amazing time. We talked at like 4 a.m. this time. So I'd have to get up, before, my sister was getting ready for school, and we talked. And then she came back. And she quit school because I got sick right when she was supposed to come back for the next semester. So when I said in the last clip, I feel like my mom has sacrificed more. I do, because lupus is one thing. That's my cross, I guess I'd like to say. But my mom has me. She has my sister. She has herself. She has her desires, that she, her dreams, things like that. Yeah.
Mom, I don't know what I would do without my mother, because she's it. Yes, I have other family members that pop in here and there, but no one does what my mom does. And so I like to tell her, people look at me and tell me how strong and what a warrior I am, and how they can't believe I'm so positive in everything that I'm going through. But not only do I give that to God, but I give that to my mom, because if I didn't have her, my spirit would have broken a long time ago, and I truly would have given up. If I hadn't had her so long ago, I would have just thrown in the towel, and I wouldn't have continued fighting. So, God, he blessed me with, he's held his hand on me as far as the healing journey that I'm going through, but he's blessed me with my partner to walk with me through it, and that's my mom.
Yeah. What do you think about people not knowing about lupus?
So when I hear about people not knowing what lupus is, it is truly mind-blowing to me, because I've had lupus for 20 years. And so I just don't understand. Every May that I've, done a lupus awareness march, or every May that I've, worn purple to school for May 10th for Lupus Awareness Day, and no one know what it is, it's kind of angering. That's not a word, is it? It makes me angry. Okay.
You're like, it's okay, girl, be honest.
I was telling you, a week that I spent in the hospital, for 7 days, I was able to count how many times I saw a commercial about a different foundation, whether it was the Heart Association or March of Dimes or, breast cancer. And then that week, I saw each of those commercials on a daily basis, and never did I see a lupus awareness or lupus foundation commercial. I still don't see them, a matter of fact, and that was 4 years ago. I still haven't seen a lupus awareness commercial. And so it's really frustrating because I'm meeting people, now that are just now being diagnosed or just now finding out about what it is, and they're asking me questions. And some of these people, I'm like, well, you've known that I've had lupus for a few years, and now you're just now asking me what it is. So a lot of people haven't gotten quite interested in what lupus is until they found out certain celebrities have lupus. So, like Toni Braxton has lupus, and a model from America's Next Top Model has lupus. Seal has lupus. Nick Cannon has lupus. And so now that people are finding out about celebrities that have lupus, is kind of getting a little more shine, I guess, if that's what you want to say, which I'm happy about that in one sense, but then it's also frustrating in another, because you think, here I am, I've been suffering with this disease for so many, battling, I don't like to say suffering, battling with this disease for so many years, and people are now just finding out what it is. So it's a two-edged sword, but I'm glad that people are now becoming aware, so they can support people that may have lupus, or people that do have lupus know how to better support themselves.
Thank you.
I want this, God, I want that. But the first thing that you're supposed to do is adore God. So you tell God, oh my God, you are an awesome God. You are a strong God. God, you have done this and you have done that, and I thank you. That's the first thing you come to. And then you come with your sin. Then you tell God, Lord, please forgive me for not, trusting in you, or not believing that you can do this for me, and, second guessing you. And then you tell God, God, I come to you with my need for healing. And so a lot of people, I forget, oh my gosh, it's going to annoy me that I can't think of the word. But there's a word that I always remember, that word, when I want to pray, because the first thing I want to do when I'm hurting, and when I'm, in pain, is I want to just, God, take this pain away, because that's all I'm thinking about. I may not have prayed the whole week, and all of a sudden I feel sick today, and I want God to take away this pain. And so, God's like, you better remember, you better remember who this is. So I got to adore God first, before I come to him with that. So, that was just something that I learned when I was a kid. And so I just have, I just remember, when I walk through life, so.
That's